Hello, Namaskar viewers. I am Sanjeev Pandya welcoming you to the Business Talk show in this brand new season. The Business Talk always starts around end of summer, fall season and continues till the end of the year, and then a tax season starts from the beginning of the year. So here we are bringing you the first episode of the Business Talk this season right here on ITV Gold. The show is brought to you by SAI CPA Services, a complete accounting firm located in the state of New Jersey with multiple locations, and they can assist you, guide you not only in accounting, not only tax preparation, but setting up business, payroll, bookkeeping, or any business related services. SAI CPAs can be reached at 908-380-6876. With that note, I'd like to welcome Mr. Ajay Kumar of SAI CPA Services. Sir, good to see you. Welcome.
Thank you, Sanjeev ji. Appreciate that. Appreciate the kind introduction, and I'm looking forward to a great show again this year.
All right. The Business Talk will bring you all the latest that you need to know in the world of business. When I say world of business, that means we're not only going to be limited to US, but outside the US also. So that's what we're going to be bringing in this show, the Business Talk with Ajay Kumar of SAI CPA Services on ITV Gold. Let's begin the story with the stock market.
Absolutely.
Stock market, it's okay. Yesterday, day before, 2 days ago wasn't really that good, but now it's really catching up.
Well, I think it's a little bit of correction going on, Sanjeev ji. So if you remember, just up until few days ago, S&P was highest that you have seen in last 16 months. For last 3 months, it has seen some correction going on, but you have to put everything together. Look at the real estate market, look at the uncertainty in the economy, look at the inflation, look at the interest rate. So there is so much uncertainty in the market. That's sort of catching up with the stock market. And truth be told, the stock market has been going up consistently for so many months. There is little bit of the correction needed over here. Is it going to go down? Is it going to go bust? Probably not. It's going to remain high. The stock market we expect to remain high, but there will be some correction. In some cases, the corrections are going to be minor, just small corrections, and in other cases, the corrections are going to be a bit larger. So from a market perspective, you expect to see some correction in next 4 to 6 weeks, next 30 days.
Well, corrections, I don't know, which way corrections go, because stock market had seen, one of the worst losses just a couple of days ago.
Absolutely.
And now it's bouncing back slowly by slowly. So, it gives it back to the investors, then takes it back from the investors, and it's just going on. But let's see that what kind of corrections it's going to make, if it's going to make between now and the end of the year. Now let's talk about the rates, the Fed rates, prime rates and the other rates, see how they are affecting the stock market. Prime rate right now is what, 5.5?
8.5.
8.5.
Prime rate is 8.5%. US Treasury increased the prime rate by 0.25% just couple of weeks ago. You have to remember, this is the highest rate that this country has seen, 8.5%. We were not expecting this 0.25% increase, but this being an increase already made there, we are not expecting any more increase. If you remember, earlier, prime rates were increased by 3 quarters. Then it became 2 quarters. Now it's 1 quarter. For last couple of times, we have seen the increase by 1 quarter. So we are not expecting any more increase in the prime rate, but the prime rate is already at a very, very high level, and you see the impact.
Yes.
And what it means for our viewers, Sanjeev ji, because we bring the news that everybody can use. So what it means in general terms, you will see higher mortgage rate, you will see higher car financing rate, everything that you have, any loan rate, anything that you have on variable APR, your credit card rates, your line of credit, all those rates will be much higher than what you used to have.
Okay. All right. As we are talking about, stock market in our show, The Business Talk, let's bring in a very important point, which I'm sure the individual who are in the business world and who are very well connected with stock market, they would know. It's time to talk about LIBOR rate versus SOFR rate.
Absolutely. I'm glad you reminded. So LIBOR is being phased out. You must have seen the news flying around, and I want to remind everybody, LIBOR is the interbank exchange rate, the rate where banks loan money to each other. With so much uncertainty in the market, LIBOR was fluctuating too much. So there were talks about replacing LIBOR with a more standard, more stable rate. And SOFR, SOFR, put it on Google. You will see a lot of good news about it. It's much more stable. It's not going to cost you any more than what it used to. It's more of a change in the background, the change that banks have to deal with, change with the financial institution have to deal with. But for a normal customer, they will, instead of LIBOR, they will see SOFR. But in most cases, the end user, the consumer, is not going to be affected with this change.
Well, LIBOR rate, if we talk about history of LIBOR rate just recently discontinued, June 30th, 2023. That means all the financial institutions, they are not going to follow LIBOR rate. LIBOR stands for London International Bank Offered Rate, and it had been in use since 1984. So almost 40 years
Absolutely.
later, 39 years later, LIBOR is fading out. They are bringing a new rate, which is SOFR. SOFR, Standard Overnight Financing Rate.
Absolutely.
And that rate, as you said, is going to be easy for the, is easy for the borrowers, and then easy for lenders to follow also. So let's see what it goes. But getting away from LIBOR rate and bringing a SOFR is really a major move in not only in the
Absolutely.
US but a global business world.
Especially from a European perspective. So SOFR is being computed based on the European structure. So a lot of softwares will have to be updated by the bank. All the banks, the computation, the background computation, the loans that they give, that they take is based on LIBOR rate. So all that software computation will have to be updated. In most cases, it has already been updated. Again, from a consumer perspective, it wouldn't be a big change unless you are one of those businesses that takes large amount of loans. If your loan amount are over $5 million, then you need to understand the difference between LIBOR versus SOFR. Otherwise, from an end user perspective, SOFR is more stable, better rate than what LIBOR used to be.
All right, when it comes to consumers, LIBOR, SOFR, for this next story, it really doesn't matter. No matter what the prime rate is, no matter what the Fed rate is, nothing matters. The only thing matters is that you're hungry, you want to order food, and you call DoorDash. DoorDash is having a record sales, this time. Revenue rose 33% to $2.1 billion.
Absolutely, it's amazing. The way you see it, especially the second quarter, we expect the second quarter, the third quarter, the summertime to be better for companies like DoorDash. But the increase in the revenue that they have seen, I mean, the silly example is people are buying Taco Bell, $1 taco, and paying $10 for DoorDash to have this taco delivered, Sanjeev.
Yep.
So it's amazing how much people are willing to pay for the convenience. DoorDash is more about convenience, having things delivered to your home. Their revenues are going to be over $2 billion, not million, $1 billion. And their estimate is they will be delivering more than $65 billion worth of food in 1 year.
Yep, and this San Francisco-based company is really catching up and becoming very popular. But I still think DoorDash is really popular among younger generations.
Absolutely,
and especially
more so in younger generations.
Younger generations, they just, for them, $10 here, $20 there, $40 here, doesn't really matter, most of them haven't even started earning. But they know that to use parents' phone or their phone to call DoorDash and have food delivered and pay sometimes 10, 20 times more than a food cost is.
Absolutely.
So that is absolutely happening. Talk about food. All right, now Amazon finally have decided to give up. They were so strict about their primetime members only benefits. Now they're giving out one of the things is that even if you're not primetime member, you can have grocery delivered at your doorstep by Amazon.
Absolutely. So it's in order to increase the sale, in order to compete with the local market. What Amazon used to do, they will only deliver groceries to their Prime members. And Prime membership is not cheap. They charge $139 for a year, every year for the Prime membership. And even after that, you have to pay for the delivery of the food, delivery of the grocery. Now they are delivering groceries to people who do not have the Prime membership, but they are charging $4 more for the delivery charges. Slightly more, but still, even with the Prime membership, unless you are ordering food every week, every other week, unless you are an avid Amazon user, I think $139 is still a lot of money. for any membership.
Absolutely. So Amazon is Amazon. Again, the brand value is so solid, and that's where Amazon wants to now tap into that market to have grocery delivered. Before we go into the break, let's quickly talk about Apple. Apple is the company which is now a $3 trillion company, as you know that. One of the most profitable companies in the world. But Apple sales, they fell for the second business quarter, and this has been happening year after year after year. Especially second quarter sales are really, really low, and it fell 1% to $81.8 billion.
Absolutely. So we know for Apple, they have new products being launched towards the end of the third quarter in September, around September. So actual sales of these new product launch does not happen in Q3. They actually starts having sales in October, mainly November, December, during the holiday time. That's the time they are targeting. So we are expecting Apple sales to jump back in the fourth quarter, but Q3 may also be light for Apple again in 2023.
All right, so let's see what happens. But as the Apple sales down, their service revenue is really, really going up. It is all while the Apple sales down, their service revenue is going up. This is all-time high at $21.2 billion. And regardless of this situation, Apple stock is doing very, very well.
Absolutely.
So by the time you go and open your 401k accounts and look into your stock market thing for the Apple stock price, we're going to take a short break and we'll be right back after these messages. Stay with us. Welcome back to the second half of the Business Talk Show right here on ITV. This is the first episode of this season, and we're going to be with you till the end of the year for the Business Talk, and then it will be followed by the Tax Talk. This is all brought to you by SAI CPA Services for all your accounting needs, IRS, tax audit, payroll, bookkeeping services, or even someone just to manage business. For small to mid-sized business to almost a large business, SAI CPA Services is your best alternative. Give them a call, 908-380-6876 to see what kind of services that they can provide for you. Before the break, we talked about DoorDash and we talked about Apple, and of course, DoorDash is related to food. So now it's in there. Now let's talk about that how this business meal related to food has made a difference in the tax for the year.
Absolutely, Sanjeevji. I want to remind our viewers, we talked about DoorDash, we talked about food, we talked about Apple. But the Apple we were talking about is not the apple that you eat. We were talking about the stock, Apple stock. But nonetheless, kidding aside, the tax angle to the food under the Corona Act, especially for 2021 and 2022, Sanjeevji, the food expenses were allowed 100%. This was to promote the restaurant industry, promote the businesses to spend more money on the food and the employee of eating expenses. In 2023, we are back to 50%. So your food expenses needs to be tracked separately. Earlier in 2021, in 2022, if you move the food expenses into miscellaneous expense, into office expenses, it did not matter, because they were both deductible at 100%. In 2023, you cannot do that. You have to track the food expenses separately for the business, and you are only allowed 50%. The theory is that you are still eating. Your food is not allowed. It's just the employee. Unless you have an office party, that's where the food is allowed 100%.
All right. While we talk about food, I'd like to add one thing here. If you are ordering pizza from Papa John's, right, this is a story that you should know. Papa John's business is down. Their revenue is going down because of high cost of pizza. Now, I remember I was talking to someone who is part of Domino's Pizza some time ago, and they said that Domino's is successful because they haven't raised the prices. In today's day and age, when your employee cost is so high, supplies cost is so high. In terms of Papa John's Pizza, if you have noticed, they have mainly it's a ketchup-based pizza. Ketchup prices have gone up, employees' prices have gone up, and therefore the franchisees, they had to raise the prices, and the consumers are not happy about it. So it does make a difference, but for a company to stay consistent with the quality and keep the prices low, I think they go ahead in this market. But this Papa John's story is definitely.
No, you're 100% right, Sanjeevji. The whole restaurant industry is suffering with a net margin. we have a lot of restaurants as our clients, and a lot of those restaurants, even though they are extremely busy, they are doing very well, but they can't meet the expenses. They can't pay the rent.
But they are so busy. I mean, all the
Absolutely.
restaurants that you go in there in the
That's the worst
summertime,
part.
indoor, outdoor, everybody's busy.
That, if you think about it, that's the worst part. If you are extremely busy, it means you're working extremely hard. Then finding yourself in a situation that the margins are not sufficient to pay the rent or pay the employees, that becomes the difficult situation. So one restaurant owner was saying that we can't have the cheese steak sold for $30. We are only charging $18 for the cheese steak. So there is a limit as how much people are willing to pay for certain type of food.
Exactly. All right. So now from food, let's move on to the housing. You know, the house that you live in or the home that you want to buy in. According to this story, U.S. housing market is doing well in spite of high mortgage rates. Mortgage rates are very, very high. And especially Fed, when they increased their rate, 1 week ago, almost 10 days ago now, obviously that affected mortgage rates also.
Absolutely.
Mortgage rates are very high, but the U.S. housing market is doing
still
well.
hard. So you are right. U.S. rate has trickling effect on all the rates. Once the prime increases, the mortgage increases, the car financing increases, LIBOR increases. Everything sort of has an increased effect to it. But to begin the story, we talked about the food, we talked about the restaurant. So we are going back to roti, kapda, or makan. So now we are in the makan section. We are talking about the housing section now. So if you compare year over year in July, the number of houses that you have in the market are less than what you had last year. But the demand is still there. So at a high level, if you look at it, why the market is hot, why the mortgage rates are so high, the inventory is 22% lower year over year. The demand is 7% lower, but still there is a gap of 15%. Year over year, the market is 15% hotter than what it was last year, only because the inventory is not there. Demand is not as much as it was in last year, July. But just because the inventory is not there, there are a lot of bidding. It's very common in these days to see in the housing market for sellers to get more money than the asking price. It was never the case. It was unheard of.
Inventory is very, very short, and especially talk about New Jersey area, there is a tremendous shortness of inventory. And still, whatever property comes in the market, there are buyers who are willing to pay 20, 30, 40, 50,000 more than the asking price to get the property.
Exactly.
Yes. So it is really unbelievable. High interest rates, yes, they can live with it because it's going to be only for a couple of years, maybe 2, 3, 4 years. I don't know. You can always refinance after that. But to have that kind of money to go out and buy the property, one which is already high,
overpriced,
exactly overpriced, in the appraisal, and then you go and pay it on top of that thousands of dollars more to get that.
And you have this 30-year obligation.
This is unbelievable.
It's crazy.
Yes, it is absolutely unbelievable. All right, so now, as you mentioned, roti, kapda, makan, so I figured let me just stay with the right now roti and see if we can continue with that. Recently, there was a huge disruption in the Indian American community because of rice.
Absolutely.
The news was out there that India is going to be, they're going to be stop exporting rice. India is one of the largest rice producers.
The shortage was, or the news was only about Sona Masuri.
Yeah.
A lot of people did not understand that Sona Masuri is a type of rice. There are 2,000 type of rice. Sona Masuri is one type of rice.
Right.
You can buy as much as jasmine rice you want. Even basmati rice is easily available. Now it's not. Only because people did not understand and they bought anything. The rice bag that was available for $16 a month ago is sold in the market for $54.
Yes.
Only because people are lining up just to buy the rice. Not understanding the news that the shortage is supposed to be for Sona Masuri, people bought basmati rice, people bought jasmine rice, people bought everything.
I think that for basmati, India never said that they were going to be banning exporting
not
basmati. Basmati was white rice, just like a Sona Masuri was one of the brands, right? But listen, people don't pay attention. They thought there's not going to be a rice. And there were lines outside in supermarkets, and then people were grabbing bags after bags and going, it's just a crazy. But they made this move because of heavy monsoon season all over in India. And I think the Indian government said that before our own Indian people starve without rice, as it is the tomato prices and all the other vegetables prices
Absolutely.
are going up, right?
Right.
So they said, let's reserve it for people in India first.
They did not want to repeat the same situation that
Correct.
India has seen with the tomato and a lot of other products.
Absolutely,
They
and
did
it's
not want
just
the
a
same
temporary,
situation.
just temporary.
Absolutely.
But again, Sona Masuri was the only brand. Other than that, all the many other brands are available in the market. All right. So now let's move in. Continue to move in. Let's bring in cricket news.
Absolutely. I was heartbroken to see India lose the first T20 by 5-6. This is amazing. I mean, I see people are trying to hit the 6 and getting out for 0. T20, that's India's strength. Losing T20 against West Indies, where they won the last ODI by 200 runs. It is what it is. It's cricket by chance. Sanjeevji, what can I say?
You know, viewers, I must say that Ajay was so excited to talk about this. That's why I didn't interrupt it. The moment I mentioned cricket, he just went out. But let me just tell you a story. India currently, right now, they are in the West Indies. They completed Test series, which India won. The one-day series, finally, barely they won in the last game. T20 started just recently, and the first game, India lost miserably. West Indies scored, I think, 149 runs or
150
something
runs,
like
yeah,
that.
something
And
like
then in India, you know, in 20 overs, they were short by 5-6 runs or something like that. So that was a heartbreaking loss. But that's in a T20. T20, rest of the series will continue. Last two T20 games are going to be played in Florida.
Absolutely.
All right. So with that note, we come to the end of the Business Talk, this episode right here on ITV Gold. Ajay, thank you so very much.
Absolutely.
All right. Next week when we meet again, same place, same time, we'll have more global business stories for you. Until then, I am Sanjeev Pandya, wishing you all happy and good days ahead. Take care of yourself.
Thank you.